Erin, before you take it away, I just want to put one poll out for everybody. While Erin's going to talk to us, there's just one question we'd like our viewers to answer for us, but obviously, Erin, you can take it away.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name's Erin. As Asta said, I'm the U.S. Manager of Implementation. I've been here for about 5-6 months. However, my background is in veterinary technology. So I've done everything from working in PIMS, working in a reminder system, and that led me here to Vetstoria. And it's been amazing to work with practices who are excited to onboard a tool that they know can help them. And I've worked with probably thousands and thousands of practices at this point, and it's just an amazing tool. So I'm excited to talk to you today and kind of give tips and tricks that we know in onboarding. And you'll see Sam and I have this conversation, this kind of back and forth. What do you think, or what do we typically talk about? And you're welcome to ask questions along the way, and we can bring those up.
Great, Sam. We have the poll results. We can give it another minute or so. In the meanwhile, I'm going to share my screen, and then it's all yours.
Okay. But yeah, as you know, we love giving some visuals to instead of just staring at me and Erin's face the whole time. But the reason we're here today is really just setting up Vetstoria. How do we make sure your pet owners are booking the way you want them to? They're honoring the availability that you're providing to them, and they're booking the correct appointments to ensure that when they show up, they're prepared and you're prepared for taking care of the patient at the end of the day. So that moves us into kind of the next slide, Asta, if you don't mind. That's us. Yeah, just in case you want another little overview. But yeah, with Vetstoria, that's our biggest thing, is being extremely customizable to fit your practice, providing that user availability to your pet owners, but also ensuring that you guys have a hold on your calendar, and it helps reduce those phone calls and give you some of your time back. So some of the things we want to look at are a couple of specific features that we think can really help push the tool to encourage your pet owners to understand what is an emergency, what isn't, what's applicable to these appointment types you're offering, and go from there.
So we really want to hone in on these 4 main kind of features and settings that Vetstoria can offer. And you'll hear, like I said earlier, you'll hear Sam and I give some tips, some options, some best practices along the way, so that we can help your clients understand what you want their expectations and those availabilities to look like. So we'll start off with appointment and client types. We combine those together, but those are really big pieces of the process, right? How customizable your appointment types are. Are they specific, generic? Are they intended for new or returning clients? So that's at the very beginning of the booking process, as we know. And then through the process, we'll come up with appointment screening. So we'll talk about that and how we filter and try and weed out some of those emergency cases or surgeries or dentals or anything like that. You can also utilize content pages or disclaimers. It's almost additional messaging that you want the client to be aware of. One example could be that you offer your free appointments, and you want to make sure clients know what that is, first of all, if they don't, and then what they need to do to prepare for that. So content pages, there's a lot of customization there, and we'll certainly talk about that. And the last step of the booking process is, of course, when it pushes into your practice management system. And that's when Vetstoria will try and match the client detail to what you have on your system. So we'll give you best practices, we'll give you some tips, but we really wanted to talk about kind of every step of the way, right? From the very beginning to the very end, what can we do to help manage the client's expectations?
Yeah, and I think we picked these 4 because there is so much to Vetstoria, but when you utilize these all in tandem, these specific features, they can really help that triage process, that ensuring your pet owners are booking correctly, managing those expectations when it comes to emergencies and things like that. So that's why we focused on these. But yeah, I think we'll hopefully publish that poll after this and see kind of what we come up with, and maybe before we dive into those, kind of discuss the poll. So the poll was, do you see pet owners book emergency appointments online? Yes, a lot of the times that's pretty good. That means that hopefully you know, your pet owners understand the process already that you have set in place if you currently are using Vetstoria. Sometimes, right, so sometimes pet owners don't always know what is exactly going on with their pet. That's probably why they're coming to you guys. But we can see that sometimes maybe they misunderstand what their pet is needing versus what they think it is. And then the rest of you guys said no. So interesting to see that play out here.
Perfect.
All right. Well, yeah, so starting with client and appointment type, what I always like to say is that the appointment types and the types of clients that you offer these online bookings to kind of really set the foundation of your Vetstoria account and how you're allowing clients to book online. It's really important to think of yourself as a new pet owner. You don't know much about the veterinary industry, and so when you're setting up the names of your appointment types and deciding which type of client, new or returning, has you know, the option to choose those, just think of it in terms of, I'm a new pet owner, I have no idea what this means, what should I be booking in for? So making those very clear. This is a wellness exam with vaccines, or tech appointments that includes nail trims, anal gland expressions, all the common things you see there. And really defining, you know, simple terms. Something I saw recently was a practice had put an appointment type as ADR, and we in the veterinary industry know that means ain't doing right. It's just like a questionable, something's wrong with my pet, but I'm not exactly sure. But in the client side, that might not make a lot of sense. You know, they just don't know. So we saw that appointment type was never booked. And when I spoke to that practice, I said, well, you know, what does this mean to you guys when you book that type of appointment over the phone? What are you looking out for? What is the client saying to you that makes you book that type of appointment? And maybe we can rephrase that appointment type to fit the pet owner's understanding of what that's for. So we ended up changing it to just, you know, a sick, injured exam, because that makes most sense. If something's wrong, I'm not sure, but a sick appointment is more appropriate than a wellness exam in that case. And Erin, I don't know if that's something that you see in onboarding a lot happen when you're kind of helping them decide which appointment types to offer.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, if a practice comes to us and what do you suggest? Certainly it's helpful to separate your new versus returning client kind of by its category, right? And it really just comes down to that new client. It's the wellness exam or the sick or injured pet exam, right? And you just want to keep it clear and concise for your clients. And to that point, you can even categorize it further. So in the appointment types, you could call it first visit wellness exam, first visit sick or injured exam, right? Even more specific, so they know, yes, this is my first visit, or actually, no, I've come before, maybe once or twice a year ago. That would be a returning customer. And that's a very clear process in our booking tool. So to take it a step further, we also can do exam dash wellness, exam dash sick or injured, exam recheck, exam adopted a new pet. So just making it that category based that can transition to tech appointments for nail trims and anal glands or laser therapy. It's really just that simple. Here's this exam question. Here's the technician appointments that we'd like to offer. That helps make it nice and smooth during the booking process. And one other highlight, we can sync the appointment type that the client uses to the appointment types that are in the PIMS or in your practice management system, PIMS. So if you have, you know, all your color-coded appointment types in your software, we can connect that to what you're listing in Vetstoria. So even though it's displayed for the client to understand what that is, we'll still connect it to the appointment types that you want to. And that helps your team, right? That's the clear and easy way for the team to see, yep, this is a wellness exam. The client booked in, they type some other stuff in there. But there's a lot of features and connections that we have with your PIMS that way.
Yeah, perfect.
So this is almost the second process in the booking tool. And that's where our system is automatically, in the very last question we ask clients, we'll say, what's the reason for the appointment, or what's going on with your pet? And our system will flag and filter different keywords and phrases that the clients type in. So we probably have 100 to start out with in onboarding, but clinics can go wild with it, right? So for example, if a client types in bleeding or can't urinate, hit by car, there's probably 100 different ways to say that, but we try and cover all of that. So there's a pop-up message for the client to say, or it'll display as, it looks to appear that you're booking an emergency, please call the practice. So we try and stop clients, and that's a really helpful way, because if somebody, it's common sense, but some clients, they'll try and book in that way when obvious to us, they need to call. But we also have different sections. So we have your emergency section, your surgery section, and your dental section. And Sam, if you want to kind of highlight what are the big ones there that we screen.
Yeah, and it comes down to that same idea of like, what appointment types are we offering versus what, we want them to book correctly. So maybe, you don't want to offer, dental surgeries, or, let your pet owners schedule that. Maybe you just want to have the idea of a dental consultation, but if they put dental in their reason for appointment or teeth check, that flag will say, hey, we don't book dental surgeries. If this is just for a consultation, you can please proceed. So just kind of, this is what I think of when I remember my time as a receptionist, like flagging communication on the phone. So if a person over the phone tells me, I want to get my pet's teeth checked, I want to schedule, a dental treatment for them. Really just kind of helping them understand, okay, well, we're booking you an exam for a consultation. We're going to take a look, but that's not the surgery itself. And so this is a way to do that, instead of, your reception team always having to take on that conversation. It's that little bit of communication that we can bridge the gap between what they're looking for and, communicating what exactly that appointment type is for. I always think it's also important to understand this appointment screening process, this triage system that we do have in place for words to be triggered. While it does flag the pet owner and it says, hey, you appear to be booking an emergency, or hey, this is for, not for a dental surgery, it's for an exam, they can still proceed with booking. But you're giving them that additional information to understand what it's for. And anytime a pet owner does use those words and does say, yes, I understand, but I would still like to book the appointment, that information is taken into the appointment note, into your practice management software. And to me, that just gives your receptionist team a little bit of a nudge to say, okay, I see that they were flagged. What exactly were they flagged for? And does it require that personal touch? Maybe it does require a phone call, but there are certain words that we understand that potentially, aren't emergencies, like blood. They want a blood test because they, know that their pet's due for a heartworm check, but they, blood test means the same thing to them as a pet owner. So just kind of taking that into the idea that we help trigger, we help triage. If they do proceed with that booking, then, you still are flagged at the end of the day. Your receptions team still has their eyes on it, but this is another step to ensure your pet owners understand that maybe you should call for this instead.
And one highlight too is a lot of that is preventative, right? And we have all sorts of ways to say, I think a favorite amongst practices is spaded, right? Clients tend to say spaded instead of spay. So you have to think like a client, and there may be that one piece that goes around it. So that's where I would just suggest to your team, the team that are reviewing the appointments, to think like a client, and they're always welcome to add more. All you have to do is put a comma and type the word in under the appointment screening section in your settings. So it's easy enough to add, but one other piece is we can do an informative type of message as well. So we've talked about preventative this whole time, but we also have informative, for example, diarrhea or anything urine related. So if they type in diarrhea, the 100 ways that you can misspell diarrhea is in there already, but it'll say, well, because you typed this in, it'll display as please bring a fresh fecal sample, give us a call if your pet has experienced these symptoms for multiple days. So, but we're still going to let you go through. So it's not stopping them. It's not saying, hey, you need to call us. It's just, give us a call, bring this in with your appointment, and it'll just let them go through. So it's an informative message versus that preventative message too. So that's diarrhea. It could be for urine issues. It could also be for euthanasias. If your practice is pretty particular and you'd like to have that conversation on the phone and a client tries to book in a euthanasia, I've seen that as well. As you're more than welcome to give us a call with any questions concerning the process or the payment or any afterlife services, right? That could be another option.
Also, I mean, this is almost a little off topic, but just having that discussion around euthanasias. I do see quite a lot of practices offer this because they understand that pet owner, that conversation can be kind of hard. And taking the step to make that decision, maybe they don't want to cry over the phone to somebody and kind of, have to discuss that. So giving them that option to book online, knowing that they can book it, have that time, and then when they show up, they're mentally prepared and, don't have to have that conversation twice, can really go a long way into helping your pet owners feel that support without, maybe that in phone-based conversation that they don't want to have. So I've seen it work really well. I mean, again, totally, that's why Vetstoria works, is that it's customizable up to your practice. But things like that, I think, when you look at it on a different light from maybe the pet owner experience can really help when you start to think about what types of appointments do I want to offer through online booking.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it's, and we try and set that stage when a practice begins onboarding is how, just because you go online just because you prefer to call doesn't mean all of your clients will. And 100%, you will still have clients that want to call you to book those appointments in. But this will come back to new clients. We understand the implications and the extra work that's involved when new clients try to book in through Vetstoria, but those clients prefer it, right? If you block them from doing that, it's more work for your team, it's more work for that client, and you may even miss out on that new client because it wasn't offered to begin with. So it's opening up that realm, and Sam and I are more than happy to talk about those kind of, well, we're worried about this, or this, this may not happen the way we intended it to. So if you run into those kind of blockers along the way, please bring it up. We'd be happy to chat. But it's, to Sam's point, it's putting yourself in their shoes and opening up a whole new possibility for clients that you didn't have before, whether it's for new clients, euthanasias, or just even the technician appointments, right? The laser therapy or the blood work. And those are easy wins that Vetstoria can really help your team out with.
Yes. This is my favorite, actually. I love our content pages. I love what we call our disclaimer pages. I think, again, I say this a lot because it's just my go-to because I really believe in it. It bridges that gap of communication between online booking and your practice itself. Like, anything that your receptionist team, you tell them when you're booking this appointment, please remember to tell them this. We can capture in a content page, and it's there 100% of the time. Anytime a client books that appointment type, they see this messaging, and then they have that information every time. So this is, for example, my favorite, again, those tech appointments, those easy ones that we know don't need a phone call, a nail trim, simple vaccines that they're just trying to book so that they can get their dog into the boarding so they can go on vacation. We can, once they pick that appointment type, we can put a page that says, hey, this exam type is for this set of scenarios. Having clear, concise messaging that's straightforward and simple, and also potentially using bullet points, I think goes a long way with saying, this is what this appointment type is for. If you're okay with that, you check that box and say, yes, I understand, and I'm good to move forward with that. So it really helps just making sure that, again, pet owner is booking the correct appointment type in the way you intend them to. And it comes down to all things, tech appointments, wellness exams, rechecks. If it comes down to offering rechecks for your returning clients, saying, hey, this recheck appointment is for something that our doctor has previously seen within the last 3 months, then you're okay to move forward. Lots of ways you can utilize this to your advantage. New clients, if you want to take a deposit for new clients, just giving them that little tidbit of information in a content page saying, hey, this deposit is going towards your exam fee, just so you understand what this, payment is for when they get to the end of the booking process and can be expected to make that deposit. That line of communication is still there.
Yeah, and going back to how to inform clients, how to set their expectation that they need to call for emergencies. We always have that emergency button displayed the entire booking process. But if you find that there's a particular type of appointment that just keeps booking in, and you'd rather those clients call, you can use a content page as almost like a welcome message. Excuse me. So it doesn't have to be after they select the appointment type. We could have that welcome message and make it nice and friendly and say, thanks for choosing the practice. We can't wait to see you soon. Please be informed, or please be aware to call the practice for the following. And you can bullet point that. The bullet points make it very clear instead of that long paragraph, because everybody reads over it, right? Even this slide, it's only 3 lines, and you just you skim it quickly. So those bullet points really help. But it can be used for anything. It can welcome messages to, I've seen a lot of tech appointments with boosters, right? You're trying to tell the client you need to be current. This is not with a doctor. If you want your pet seen by a doctor, go back. Could even be the last step. Maybe for a new client, it could say, we're so excited to meet you. Just that nice friendly message to say, also, please email medical records to us. Because that new client form, which we'll talk about in a moment, that new client form will cover a lot of the pieces, but any sort of previous medical records that's an attachment should be emailed, that kind of thing. So possibilities are endless with these content pages. Just it depends on the process and what you'd like to use them for. This is also a good one. This one's one of my favorites too. So I'll start it off. So this is at the very end, this is what I was referring to, is when the appointments push into your practice management system. So what Vetstoria will try and do is match that to what details you have on file. So Sam, if you'd like to kick it off, there's some good stuff in here.
Yeah, and it goes back to that, offering new and returning, are you offering to only your returning clients? Are you offering to new clients? Sometimes we will see, new clients booking in as returning clients, and then they come up as an unmatched block-off appointment within your practice management software. And you're like, who is this? What are they doing here? How did they get through? And we've come to learn that, even offering that one new client option, maybe it's just that first initial wellness exam to get you established within our practice. We need that before we move forward with any other type of appointment. Really goes a long way in ensuring that your pet owners are booking the right way, because we know new clients want to book in with you. They want to have that option. And so sometimes they're so eager that they choose a returning client option and kind of book in that way. But to help, triage that and ensure that they're booking correctly, just making sure if you aren't offering to new clients, at least offering one can be really helpful. Another thing that when it comes to matching appointments is if you find that you're getting a lot of unmatched appointments for returning clients, that client has been there before, it's really beneficial to, put that into practice with your reception team, that when a client comes in, you're just ensuring that you have the correct email address, the right cell phone number, the pet's name is up to date. So all that good stuff that is within your practice management software, just saying, hey, by the way, is this still the correct email and phone number we have for you, so that next time they book, that matching process is going to work.
Yeah, I always give the example. If the client types in, Mr. Fluffy Cutie Pants, even though it's just Fluffy in your software, that's not going to work. And most of the time it's not the pet's name that mismatches, but it's going to be either the email or the phone number that they put in, because it could be the spouse's information, or it could be a brand new phone that they got yesterday and you just didn't have that, of course, on file. So there is some workaround if you come across this happens often. For example, I had a practice, they transitioned from files to paperless records in their system, and they put a dash in the pet's name to signal or to indicate that they uploaded those records from the paper files. And that was causing problems for Vetstoria, was because we had looked for the exact match. It can't just be the first couple letters, or it can't be the general name. It has to be the exact record than what you have on file. So if you come across that and it's happening, you know, a little too often than what you'd like, reach out to our support team. They can definitely troubleshoot that, kind of look through some examples. But the best part all around is just to continuously try to update the client's email or the phone number on file. And the good news is that, of course, you want both, right? That's the intended, but our system will look at either. It doesn't have to be both, which is nice.
Yeah. And when it comes to new clients too, I think that that's something to keep in mind is Vetstoria offers a new client form to ensure that you're getting that information that you know you need, the address, a little bit further information about that pet that they're bringing in. And our new client form can be made mandatory. So with new clients, we can ensure that you're getting that information every time so that you can take that information they've given you, you see that appointment, marry that information together and create that patient profile so that when they come in the door, you're all set and ready to go. And again, if it comes down to no-shows, we do offer our payments feature, which can really help reduce those no-shows because people are having to put down the deposit. We all know when people put money down on things, they're more likely to show up or at least give you the appropriate amount of time so that they can keep that deposit on their record. Cool. The last thing, Asta, I don't know if you want to send that poll out. We do have one more poll, and the next thing I wanted to do was kind of show you what it looks like on the pet owner side when we talk about these content pages, when we talk about new client information. So I'll go ahead and share my screen really quickly, if I can. There we go. Here we go. Cool. This is our little furry vet clinic demo, but I'll take you into my demo account and show you what it looks like for that pet owner. That's what I think too, is like showing what the pet owner sees can really go a long way in knowing how you want to set up your Vetstoria on the back end. So again, this is what Erin was talking about, that welcome page, that content page that you can put at the very beginning, anything you want your pet parents to know before they even start the booking process. Maybe there is a specific appointment type that you just know you don't want them booking online for. We can capture that here. If it comes to new clients, maybe talking about that deposit that they'll be required to pay at the end of the booking flow to ensure their spot and stay comfortable there. So anything you want there, you can pick. And then, of course, I'm a new client. I'm a returning client. What I wanted to highlight here was if I click I'm a new client, the appointment type selections are just wellness or sick and injured. But if I go as a returning client, I've got a little bit more leeway here because I've been there before. Maybe I do want to do that recheck exam, a technician exam. I've got a little bit more options in comparison to a new client. But I'll go ahead and pick technician exam because I like the content page that can really highlight as well what we can set that standard for. So, hey, your appointment is with a veterinary technician and you will not be seen by a doctor. If you feel your pet is sick or injured, or your pet needs a rabies vaccination because we know that needs to be done with a doctor, please go back and pick the exam appointment type. But if you're okay with that, let's tell you exactly what we're looking for here. Again, highlighting that we don't want it to be with a rabies vaccination, but all these other things are okay to book. Yes, I understand. I'm here for, just a nutritional consult. I'm okay to move forward. Now I'll take it back just a few steps very quickly to show you the new client option, because I think that's important too, to highlight all the information we can capture for new clients. So wellness exam, go through here. Just pick a random time. So we're capturing this information, keep going. Previous vet details, so please, Highlands was my old place. You can feel free to contact them for my records. We'll hit next. And then we're capturing a little bit more information about that pet, right? So Bubba's his name. He's a dog. He's a chi mix. He's red. He's 10. He's playful. And then list reason for appointment. Another, highlighting that triage system. So blood, you appear to be booking an appointment that is a potential emergency. Please call us immediately. But again, maybe I'm just here for a blood test. No, it's not an emergency. I would still like to proceed. And then, of course, capturing that $20 at the end of the booking flow. So lots of different ways we can ensure you're capturing the information you need, triaging certain words, for example, blood. They also have the option to see the refund policy here if they want to see that. And then again, just as simple as can be, no login, just moving them forward through that process, making it easy, but also, ensuring that they're booking the way you want them to. So yeah, I don't know if we can close that end poll. I'll end it and we can share the results. So what is your favorite feature of Vetstoria? I think it looks like the fully customizable scheduling wins the rest, which is, I think, good to hear, because that's, again, kind of our #1 thing, right? And I like the all of the above, which is really cool.
Yeah, we did have one question come in the Q&A. So one would be, I guess, Sam, I'd like to hear your thoughts on why, even though we can understand why a clinic would want to refrain from allowing new clients to book in, but what are some of the reasons that they should, and how can what's kind of that stepping stone to being comfortable to take new clients?
Yeah, again, I think it just comes down to, like, that's what people want, right? I don't think that you'd ever want to turn away a new client, for example, if they were to book over the phone. Even if they, maybe for David here says, without any record from booking an appointment, we wouldn't necessarily be able to prevent them if they didn't have any records, because what if they truly don't have records? I mean, if they were to call over the phone, it kind of comes back to that same thought process of pet parents are going to behave probably in the same way that they would over the phone. And it's just about managing those expectations and getting what you at least can from that client through the booking process. Again, it comes down to, we've got that mandatory new client form where we can at least ask them, hey, what was your previous clinic that we can call on our side to get those records if needed, or setting up those deposits for no-shows, and really just kind of determining what appointment types you want to allow for new clients, I think goes a long way.
Yeah, and you can start slow and steady, right? There's certain restrictions that you can put in place, and I've seen kind of practices manipulate it where we don't want a new client to be the very first appointment of the day, right? We want our team to have a little bit of time to create that record, and in the case that they booked in overnight or over the weekend. So there's a little bit of manipulation there just to get the team comfortable with it. And then once they start to see the magic, then they can, then it opens up a little bit more. So that's always going to be Vetstoria's best practices. Let new clients book in, and let's try and set the expectation what you need from that new client in order to complete the booking. Lots of questions are coming in, which is great. So let's see. Where do I add more appointment screening words? Sam, if you want to take that one.
Yeah, so if you have any words, we definitely please utilize our support team. Hit that red need help button within your Vetstoria account, or you can even go to vetstoria.com, and in that top right corner it says support, and you can log a ticket or chat with them, because we can surely do that for you. By no means do you have to do it yourself, but it's under appointment screening. If you click on that within your account on the left hand side, you can go in there and just continue to add words that you want to be triggered.
Perfect. And I think this is related to David's next question. How do we make the new client form mandatory?
Yeah, so under, forgive me, Erin, if it's under advanced settings, that's right. Under advanced settings, it'll bring you to that first page, and it'll say new client form, and it'll either have that toggle that says yes, and underneath it, it'll say new client form mandatory, and you just toggle that on and do it. Yes. Again, if you're unsure where to find this, always reach out to our support team. They can certainly do that for you. And then I see David again, his existing clients are booking 6 to 8 weeks out. So we are limiting new clients to the practice, and too often they fake that they're existing, then show up without records. Yeah, and I think that also comes down to maybe that a little bit further communication, maybe with that content page. So at the beginning saying, hey, new clients, we are booking 6 to 8 weeks out. Please note that this is true and accurate availability of what you're seeing. So that way that they understand, like, that's true when they look at, if they were to go for new clients and say, oh my gosh, it's 6 weeks out, what does it look like for returning clients? So I see they can get in quicker, but just letting them know at the very beginning, setting that expectation, saying, hey, for new clients specifically, regardless of whether you call or book online, we are booking at least 6 weeks out. Yeah, so I think that's helpful there. The next question, maybe if you want to answer, Chris, Aaron, how do we attach newly created content pages to specific appointment types?
That's a good question, and it takes a few steps, to be quite honest. So without fail, you are welcome to tell our support team or reach out to anybody at Vetstoria and say, hey, I made this content page. Can you tag it for me? But just in case anybody wants to try, so you first need to make the content page in the content page section in the settings. So save that. The second step is to go to the workflow, which is just above it on the left-hand side. So you'll create a workflow, and this is where you're basically saying where in the process you want to add the content page. So if it's, let's say, a disclaimer about the technician appointments, right? You need to tell the clients, this is not with the doctor, your pet must be current. If you want your pet seen, please go back. Any kind of messaging like that. They, of course, have to select the appointment type that's associated to it. So that should go right after. That should go on the in between the first section and the, I think it's called appointment time. So it's kind of it would be the second plus sign. I'm doing this from memory. So that plus sign on the left-hand side, once you're in the workflow, that's where you're telling the system where you want the page to display. The last step is to attach it to the appointment types that the client picks. So going off of the example, it would be all the technician appointments that you want to click on because you need to inform your client. I would also make sure that you activate it. Just because you create it doesn't mean it's activated. So a couple steps, as I said, you're welcome. Please, please, please just ask the support team for it. That's what we're here for, to help you out with those.
And then I can take this one too. What about clients who don't see the appointments that they want as a new client and go back to book as returning? I think it just, again, kind of goes back to that conversation of utilizing our disclaimer pages, maybe at the very beginning, if you feel like this is something that happens quite often, is really just saying, hey, new clients, please pick the appointment types we have provided. To ensure that we establish that client-patient relationship. If you feel that there's something missing that you would like to be addressed, please feel free to give us a call. But again, it's also potentially maybe your practice could be offering more appointment types to those new clients, right? If you feel like there's something specifically that they're looking for. What I see sometimes is a practice does general practice, but they have a one doctor that does acupuncture, and the practice kind of felt at the beginning offering those online was just too much, but then they found that new clients really wanted to book that with the tool. They wanted to, even returning clients wanted to do that. So taking that and saying, well, we know they want this, how can we give this to them in the way that we want to present it? So again, offering maybe acupuncture, but maybe limiting it to that specific doctor, limiting when and how often you want those to be booked per day, and then utilizing those content pages to say, hey, this acupuncture type of appointment is for such and such, procedures, for, we've had to have seen you, it just really kind of depends on what you need. But if you feel that your new clients are asking for something, maybe that's something to really kind of listen to and see how you can reframe the tool to allow them to book without overwhelming you as well, right? So hopefully that helps, and we can always do a one-on-one session, really deep dive into your practice specifically to see how we can set it up to meet your needs and the pet owner needs.
Yeah, you'll be surprised. My time in the reminder system, you'd be surprised what kind of people were open to willing to try these kind of, advanced technology, right? I think a lot of times it was the older generation that they like to play with those phones and they like to keep up to date. And then there are some that don't, right? Like I said, you'll always have clients that will want to call you, and then you'll always have clients that'll not want to call. They'd much rather prefer just to sit on their couch and book their appointment. Or if they're like us and we talk to clinics all day, we can't even call our own practice to book the appointment. That's where it's just helpful to all sorts of people, not just the younger crowd.
I think we have time for like one more question. This is great. Does it work well on mobile? Yes. Vetstoria actually has a specific dedicated mobile view. We find that about 70% of online bookings come from a mobile device, and Vetstoria definitely caters to that. And our new user interface that we rolled out a couple of months ago is actually even better with the mobile view. So we take that into account. Anything you set up gets kind of squished into the frame it needs to be for mobile viewing. Right.
Sam and Erin, this has been so informational, so educational. And you know what, even if you don't have Vetstoria as a platform, or you're looking to get Vetstoria as a platform, I think this is a great webinar and a great hour to go through with the two of you. And thank you for leading us with this. And I'm sure for most of you, if you've asked your questions, I hope they've been answered to your satisfaction. Otherwise, please feel free to reach out to our team. As they've said, all our details are on the website. Most of you probably know Sam and Erin anyway. So it's been great to have you today, this afternoon on a Monday. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.